My name is Portia Ashford, and 6 weeks ago I hosted a housewarming party at my new estate. 200 guests, catered dinner, string quartet. The event was elegant and understated. Everything I had built into my brand. My neighbors attended, wealthy homeowners, local philanthropists, society figures. They filled my home admiring the design, complimenting the taste, asking for my professional card. My stepsister Vanessa watched from her adjacent property, the mansion she stole from me 10 years ago. The inheritance that should have been mine. She stood on her terrace looking at my party, watching the community embrace the woman she once banished. I saw her through the window, raised my champagne glass slightly. Not a toast, just acknowledgement. I had returned, not as the desperate girl she cheated, as the woman who could afford to live beside her. That proximity was the revenge. Calm, wealthy, undeniably classy. My mother died when I was 23. Cancer, quick and devastating. She left behind the family estate, historic mansion, 10 acres, prime location, worth approximately $4 million. Her will was clear. The property was mine, but my stepfather Richard controlled the estate execution. He had remarried my mother 3 years before her death. His daughter Vanessa was my age. We were never close. She resented sharing her father's attention. When my mother got sick, Vanessa's resentment became something darker. She wanted the estate, wanted the status it provided, wanted me gone. The will reading was nightmare. My mother's attorney read the straightforward language. The estate goes to Portia Ashford. Richard's face was neutral. Vanessa's was calculating. 2 weeks later, Richard filed a challenge, claimed my mother was under undue influence when writing the will, that she wasn't mentally competent, that the estate should pass to him as surviving spouse, then to Vanessa as his heir. The legal battle was expensive and brutal. I was 23 with no money for lawyers. Richard had resources and connections. The case dragged for 18 months. During that time, I lived in the estate, but Vanessa made it unbearable. She moved in claiming she was helping manage the property, made my life miserable, commented constantly about how I didn't deserve the house, how my mother only left it to me out of guilt for being a bad mother, how I would lose eventually. The psychological warfare was relentless. I was grieving my mother while fighting for my inheritance, while enduring daily torture from someone who should have been family. The legal case ended with a settlement I had no power to refuse. My lawyer said we would likely lose completely if we went to trial. Richard had better attorneys, had created doubt about my mother's mental state. Judge might rule the entire estate went to him. Settlement offered me $200,000. I would relinquish all claims to the property, take the money and leave, or risk getting nothing. I was 25, exhausted, emotionally destroyed. I took the settlement. Vanessa got the mansion. I got enough money to start over. It felt like losing everything. I moved to a small apartment across town, away from the estate, away from Vanessa, away from everything that reminded me of my mother. I had a degree in art history, no clear career path. I took the settlement money and enrolled in interior design courses. It was work I loved, creating beautiful spaces, understanding aesthetics. If I couldn't have my mother's home, I would build a career creating homes for others. The motivation was part passion, part spite. Vanessa got the mansion. I would master the art of creating mansions. The first 3 years were grinding. I worked for an established design firm. Long hours, modest pay. But I learned everything. High-end residential design, sourcing, project management, client relations. The wealthy had specific tastes and expectations. I studied them obsessively, what they valued, how they wanted to be seen, what made spaces feel luxurious yet livable. I became expert at translating wealth into design. By year 4, I was the firm's top designer. Clients requested me specifically. Year 5, I left to start my own firm, Ashford Interiors. Small operation, just me and an assistant. But my reputation came with me. Former clients followed, they referred friends. Wealthy people trusted other wealthy people's recommendations. My business grew through that network. I specialized in historic home renovation, taking old estates and making them modern while preserving character. The work was expensive, my fees were high, but I delivered results that justified the cost. Have you ever rebuilt your life after someone took everything from you? Tell me in the comments. By year 7, my firm was thriving. 10 employees, projects across the state. Revenue hit $3 million annually. I was making more money than I ever imagined. More importantly, I was connected to the exact demographic that lived in neighborhoods like the one where my mother's estate sat, the old money families. The historic homeowners, the people who valued pedigree and taste. They knew my name, respected my work. Some had become personal friends. I had access to a world Vanessa thought she owned exclusively. Year 8 brought an unexpected opportunity. A estate next to my mother's old property was listed for sale. The owner had died. The family wanted quick sale. The property was comparable. Historic mansion, 8 acres, needed significant renovation. Listed at $3 million. I had the money.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
Barely, but I could afford it. More importantly, I could envision what it could become. Not just a home. A statement. Proof that I belonged in that neighborhood. Not as inheritance beneficiary, as someone who earned it. I made an offer. Full asking price, cash. The family accepted immediately. Vanessa had no idea I was the buyer. The sale was handled through my business LLC. My name wasn't on public records initially. I closed on the property and began renovation. 9 months of intensive work. My own home was my masterpiece. Every detail perfect. Every choice deliberate. I poured everything I learned into that house. It became showcase for my capabilities. When completed, it was stunning. Better than my mother's estate. More modern. More elegant. More me. I moved in on a Tuesday morning. Watched Vanessa's face from my window as she realized who her new neighbor was. She came over that afternoon, knocked on my door with a false smile, said she was welcoming me to the neighborhood, as if she didn't recognize me. I invited her in, gave her a tour, watched her process that my home was objectively more beautiful than hers. She asked what I did for a living. I explained I was an interior designer, owned my own firm, specialized in historic estates. She asked how I could afford this property. I said my business was successful. I worked hard, built something substantial. She left shortly after. The conversation was poisonously polite. We both understood what wasn't being said. The housewarming party was planned deliberately. I invited everyone who mattered in that social circle, clients, friends, neighbors. The goal wasn't to show off, though there was certainly that element. The goal was integration, to establish that I belonged in this neighborhood permanently. That I was part of this community, that my presence was legitimate and earned. 200 people accepted invitations. The party was scheduled for a Saturday evening. Perfect spring weather. Gardens in bloom. Everything aligned beautifully. Guests arrived impressed. My home was magazine-worthy. Every room was designed perfectly. Art carefully curated. Furniture elegant but comfortable. The space felt both luxurious and livable. People moved through rooms admiring details, asking about design choices, taking mental notes for their own homes. Several asked for my business card, wanted consultations. The party was successful, networking wrapped in social event. I was establishing myself not just as neighbor, as tastemaker, someone whose opinion on beauty and design mattered. I saw Vanessa on her terrace around 8 p.m. She was watching the party from her property. Could see the lights, hear the music, see the guests arriving in expensive cars. Her home was dark except for exterior lighting. No party, no guests, just her watching. I walked to my terrace with champagne glass, made eye contact across the property line. Raised my glass slightly, not mockingly, just acknowledgement. She saw me, turned away, went inside. I returned to my guests. The moment was subtle but sufficient. Several neighbors mentioned Vanessa during the party, asked if we knew each other, if we were friendly. I said we had family connection years ago. Hadn't been close. They nodded, understanding. Old money families understood complicated histories. They didn't press. But their warmth toward me and coolness toward Vanessa was notable. Social hierarchies in wealthy neighborhoods are subtle, but real. My presence was welcomed enthusiastically. Hers was tolerated. The difference wasn't lost on anyone. The weeks following the party brought interesting developments. 3 neighbors hired me for design projects. Others invited me to social events, garden club, charity committees, book clubs. I was being integrated into neighborhood social fabric quickly. Vanessa attended some same events. We were polite, distantly cordial, but everyone could see the difference. I was embraced. She was legacy, someone who lived there because she inherited property, not because she built anything. The community valued achievement. I represented that. She represented old claim to something she didn't earn. My business continued thriving. The party generated significant referrals. My reputation in wealthy circles was cemented. I was the designer who renovated that stunning estate, who hosted that elegant party, who clearly had impeccable taste and substantial resources. Clients trusted that, wanted that for their own homes. Revenue jumped significantly. I hired more staff, took on bigger projects, expanded into commercial design. The success was exponential once I reached certain social threshold. Living next to Vanessa became normalized. We saw each other occasionally, waved politely, no real interaction. But the proximity was constant reminder. The woman she cheated now lived in comparable estate she bought herself. The woman she banished had returned voluntarily, with resources, with status, with community respect. Everything Vanessa thought she secured by stealing my inheritance, I achieved without it. That comparison was the revenge, daily, visual, undeniable. I think about my mother often. Wonder what she would think of all this. The settlement seemed like losing everything. Turned out it was exactly enough to start over, build something authentic. The mansion Vanessa stole carried my mother's memory, but it was tainted by how she got it. My mansion carried my achievement, built on talent and determination. No manipulation, no theft, just work. That distinction mattered more than I expected. Vanessa stole my inheritance, but she couldn't steal my capability. Couldn't prevent me from building wealth independently. Couldn't stop me from returning to that neighborhood as an equal, better than equal, as someone respected for achievement rather than inheritance. She thought banishing me meant permanent victory. She was wrong. I just took longer route to the same destination. Arrived with more to show for the journey. That's the revenge that satisfies. Not destroying her, just succeeding beside her. Close enough that she sees it every day. Far enough that she can't touch it. Calm triumph wrapped in wealth, class, and quiet vengeance. The best kind of revenge. The kind you can live in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to watch more revenge and inspiring stories that will make you excited like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments and let us know what you think about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.